One of the biggest reasons that small businesses don't get where they want to go, they don't reach that end destination, is because they try to take on strategies that aren't suited to their type of business. In a lot of these businesses, they're trying to run what should be two or three different businesses all under that same roof. In this video, I'm going to talk through what the four types of company are and how, when you know what type your business is, it can literally transform your business and accelerate it toward that end result. The reason we share these videos is because we're passionate about helping smaller businesses compete against the corporate takeover of most industries. Customer convenience and access to capital means small businesses will mostly die out before the end of the decade if they don't adapt and start thinking about new ways of running the business. We work in partnership with established 7- and 8-figure businesses to create new product offerings and business models, and then we position and package them up to compete against the corporate rivals. We create and invest in alternative ways of doing things to create industry-leading brands. Now, before we get into this video, this isn't going to be some kind of boring video about the legal structure of a business. If you want that type of information, go and talk to an accountant or a lawyer. This video is about using the most favorable business model for your type of business. And if you've not seen my other video on how to find the perfect joint venture partner, go and watch that next, because you'll understand what we're talking about in this video much better then. So what are the four types of company, and which of those types does your business fit into? Okay, so the first type is a product creation company. The second is an audience company. The third, a delivery company. And the fourth is an infrastructure company. Now, I'll get into each one in a minute, but first, I don't want you to have some image or get hung up on what each of those labels mean. Each one is just a name. Now, you might have heard the story about McDonald's, the fast food chain, and you might think McDonald's are in the fast food business. Well, actually, they're in the real estate business. Most of the company's revenue comes not from selling burgers, but from leasing the restaurants to each franchisee. And they now own more than $30 billion worth of real estate around the world. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you might think you're in one of these categories that we're about to talk about, when actually, like McDonald's, you're in another. Now, the issue is, especially with small businesses, is we can sometimes get sucked in trying to do everything. We try to keep adding new customers. We try to create new product and service offerings. We try to be the best at everything, or we try to own everything. And the problem by doing this is there's only one of those strategies that is right for your type of business, which means that 80% of your efforts are going nowhere, because first of all, it's diluting your focus from what you should be doing. And secondly, you're just not good at those other things. Now, I've seen companies that try to be more than just one type of company, and each time they've ended up going bankrupt. There's a strong reason why that's happened, though. First of all, the amount of money it takes to be more than one type is out of the reach for most businesses. The second reason is the lack of focus. They're spreading their focus across too many areas. It's like trying to spin too many plates. And you might say there's examples of companies that do all these types, but that isn't true. If you take Amazon, for example, you'll notice as we talk about the four types that Amazon as a brand fits into all of these types. But actually, if you look deeper, each of Amazon's businesses are separate, standalone businesses, and they each have their own management teams running them. But you can't say the same for the average small business. Amazon started out as just one type of company, and then over time they've moved across the other three types with things like TV streaming services and cloud software. But a lot of the various company types, Amazon actually went out and acquired them, and they each have their own management teams and their own budgets. They each run as a standalone business. So let's look at the four types of company. So the first one is what we call an audience company. This type of company doesn't deliver any kind of product or service. They are basically more like a middleman between the buyer and the seller. It's their job to connect a buyer with what they need. It's basically a referral. So to give you an obvious example, an insurance broker or a finance broker, they aren't delivering you the insurance. They aren't giving you money. They're just there to connect you with whatever it is that you want. The value in these types of companies is purely in their network. It's who they know, how many people they know, and what the buying power of those people are. So the only strategy apart from improving their sales and relationship skills is that they have to keep growing the network. That's all that they should focus on every single day. Come up with multiple ways to grow the network. Build a relationship with everyone within that network to build trust and increase how much money each person spends. Now, they can do that by creating ways to add more value to their audience. In other words, adding more product offerings. And that's exactly how car showrooms work. They try and sell as many brands as possible, but as a car showroom, they didn't manufacture the car, they didn't design that car, and they don't provide car finance. All that they do is sell it. So as an insurance broker, they will add life insurance, medical insurance, vehicle insurance, travel insurance. They'll aim to be the only place that their customer needs to go if they want to buy any kind of insurance. Now, other examples, apart from just brokerage businesses, they could be networking groups, they could be recruitment firms, some retail shops, media broadcasters, basically anyone that owns a large audience of buyers, but they don't create or deliver anything themselves. So apart from growing the value of their network, the second strategy should be to work with the product creator company, which we'll come back to in a few minutes. So they work with them so they have a stream of new products that add value to their audience, and then all they have to do is sell it. Next is a delivery company. So what this type of company does is basically the hands-on delivery of whatever the customer is buying. And this is the largest of the four types of company. This type makes up around 90% of all businesses in the market. It can be a manufacturing business. It could be a construction company. It can be any kind of service delivery business, such as an accountant or a lawyer. It could even be a hair and beauty salon. The important thing to remember is that this type of company is the one that delivers whatever the customer wants. And now, one of the issues this type of company will sometimes have is they'll try to create new product or service offerings themselves. So a manufacturing company, they might employ a design team and design a new products for manufacturing, which takes their focus away from what they should be doing and making that product instead. The thing a delivery company should be focused on is growing its capacity to deliver. So that means adding skill sets, adding new staff, adding production lines, being the best at what they do technically, and making that delivery process as smooth and efficient as possible. It should also be adding systems and automation, which increase the capacity of the delivery process as well. The second focus should then be on working with a product creation company, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, for them to design and create new product or service offerings for that delivery company to then deliver. Now, the next type of company is the infrastructure company. And this type are those that provide the supporting infrastructure and systems that let the world operate day to day. So some examples of that might be a software company. A software company develop a piece of software that everyone needs to operate the business or another area of their life. Other types of infrastructure company could be property investment companies. So they will buy an office building, for example, then they'll rent it out to tenants. And the strength of this type of business is they have the resources to own the asset, and then they provide it to the market at a cost which is much, much less than if the individual tried to buy it themselves. The office building might cost £10 million to buy it, but the infrastructure company rents it out for a few £1,000s a month, meaning that the other three types, which are probably low on finance or financial assets, they can afford to base themselves in that building. So the infrastructure type has a couple of strategies that they should focus on. The first and most important is to focus on owning or controlling more assets. This is how they make money, and without any assets, they don't have an income. The second strategy they need to focus on is working with a product creator to identify what the market wants and then creating it. Now, the final type is the product creation company. This type of company is normally the one that comes up with the new ideas and ways to innovate how businesses and industries operate. they come up with the radical new designs or business models. And this type of business is more about innovation, having a vision and then making that vision come to life. But sometimes this type of company can get caught up in trying to deliver the product that they've just created. And the truth is, whilst they're experts at designing things and coming up with these new ideas, they're rubbish at delivering them. So one example of a product creation company could be a property developer. So they create a vision for a building, and then they use the experts to deliver the finished building. And you shouldn't confuse that with an architect. An architect needs to be very technical and detailed, so they'd be on the delivery side. The property developer would have a vision for the building, but they also pull together the financing for the project. They bring in the various contractors, and they oversee the project through to seeing that vision come to life. The product creation company is about having a vision of how something should be, and then they put together the pieces to create that end vision. They put together the finance, they find the customer, and they work with the technical specialists to deliver it. So another example of a product creation company is some of the car design firms like Pininfarina. Pininfarina have designed cars for firms like Ferrari. So if you imagine a car is made up of thousands of different individual parts, and what a car designer does is basically package all of those parts up, and they'll package them inside this nice shell, which we call a car. So the strategy for a product creation company is to work with all three of the other company types, because it's this type of company that pulls everything together and packages it up to create that end vision. And this is where we fit. We're a product creation company. We come up with new business models, new products, and we package them up ready for the end customer to buy. But we work with the other three types of company to help us make that vision become a reality. But also by doing that, each of those other company types can then grow their own business. So let's look at the insurance industry as an example, so you can see how this all fits together, and then we'll look specifically at your type of business. So the insurance industry as a whole is made up of all four types of company. You've got the main insurance provider. This is the company that pays out when you make a claim. They're essentially a finance company. They take your monthly premium and they go and invest that money in the hope that they can grow that investment before you need to claim it back. So this type of company is the infrastructure company type. Then you've got the product creation type. Now this type is generally not seen by the public, but what you do see are the various types of insurance product. So this company will create all different insurance products, whether it's car insurance, life insurance, boiler care insurance, etc. It's the product creation company that creates a product for the insurance company to invest in. Next is the audience company, and this type is generally the insurance broker. This is a personal business that owns the relationship with you, the customer. The best strategy for the insurance broker is to grow its pool of potential customers and then find more products that they can sell to that audience. And then finally, the fourth type of company is the delivery company. And in this example, the delivery company is the business that delivers something when you make that claim. So for example, if you've got boiler breakdown insurance, it will be the company that comes out to fix your boiler. If you've got funeral care insurance, it will be the funeral director. If you've got car insurance, it will be the garage that repairs your car. So that's the insurance industry. So let's look at your type of business to see where you fit in. So for the property services industry, this can include any type of service business, whether you're an architect, a construction company, a plumber, or a cleaning company. So the infrastructure company will normally be those businesses that own or control buildings. It'll also be investors that invest in things like project finance or invest in the companies in that industry. So that means the best strategy for this type of company is to focus on owning or controlling as many properties or as much space as possible. And to do that, you need to work with the other three types, which we'll go through now. Now, what I see a lot is this type of business will get involved in trying to do the role of the other three types. And like we've talked about already, it just becomes a waste of your time when you should be focused on building your own strategy. Next, we look at the product creation company, and this is generally how each of the other types will increase their revenue streams by working with this type of company. So this type of business in this industry will normally be a property developer. The property developer creates a product, in this case, a building, for the infrastructure company to invest in. Then the audience company will sell that, and for the service company will then deliver, manage, and maintain that. And then the next one is the delivery type. In this case, the delivery type will be the construction, the managing, and the maintaining of those properties. So in this case, the best strategy for this type of business to follow should be to increase capacity in terms of increasing how many delivery staff it has, but also to increase its skill set by adding more service offerings. And it can normally do that by working with a product creation company to create those new products and offerings. And finally, there's the audience company. Now, this can be any type of personal business that makes a referral to your business. So it might be a platform, or it might be someone like a letting agent. It's this company's responsibility to make a referral to you, and that's how they get paid. They don't physically deliver anything themselves. So the best strategy for the audience company in this case is to grow its pool of potential buyers or renters. And one final way to think about which type of company you are is to think about, where does most of your revenue come from? For a services business, it doesn't get paid for investing in property. It gets paid for providing a service to that property. And so its job is to work on strategies that increase the number of services it can provide, because that's how it can increase its income streams. So that's it for this video. If you haven't seen my other video on how to find the perfect joint venture partner, then go and watch that next, because a lot of what I've said in this video will make even more sense after you've seen that video.